Rian lived alone on a dry and quiet planet named Dorsa 5. It wasn't Earth. It wasn't even close. But it was peaceful, and peace was all Rian wanted now, years ago. He had worked as an engineer on starships. He had helped build powerful engines for space travel. But after a big accident at one of the colonies, Rian left everything behind. He blamed himself for the loss, even though no one else did. He wanted to be far away from space, and people died, so he came to Dorsa 5, a small planet, where not many lived. It had only a few dry hills, some glowing red stones, and long, silent skies. Rian made a small home out of old ship metal and started fixing machines for nearby traders. He never talked much. He liked machines more than people now. One morning, while checking an old water pump, Rian saw something strange in the sky. A starship was falling, fast and shaking. It didn't explode, but it crashed hard into the hills about a few miles away. Rian paused. He could have ignored it. He wanted to ignore it. But something inside him moved, a small part of him that still remembered helping, fixing, saving. He grabbed his old toolkit and started walking toward the smoke. The ship was large, clearly. Not human-made. Its design was smooth and shining, with curves like seashells. Strange symbols glowed on its sides. It was alien, no doubt. Rian walked closer, carefully. The hatch was open, inside. Sparks flew from the walls, and a deep humming noise filled the air. Then, a figure appeared. The alien was tall and calm-looking. His skin was soft gray with thin silver lines on his arms. He wore a long blue coat with badges on it. His face was serious, but not angry. "You are human," the alien said in a smooth voice. "Yes, you crashed near my home," Rian answered, holding his toolkit. The alien nodded slowly. "I am Tauren, navigator of the Vesari Skyburn. My engine has failed. Our ship cannot fly." Rian asked. Tauren stepped aside. Behind him were two more figures, a young girl maybe in her late teens and a woman who looked like her mother. They looked healthy, but tired. Both had the same soft gray skin and calm eyes as Tauren. "This is my family," Tauren said. "We were heading to a peaceful colony beyond the Red Line. Pirates attacked. We escaped, but the ship was damaged." Rian looked at the engine room. He could already see burnt circuits, leaking fluid, and broken drives. "This won't be easy. It'll take days, maybe more. Can it be done?" Tauren asked, a quiet hope in his voice. Rian slowly nodded. "Yes, but I'll need parts, and I'll need your help." Over the next few days, Rian worked harder than he had in years. Tauren helped carry tools. The woman, Alani, prepared food from their supplies and kept things in order. The daughter, Mira, watched Rian work with curious eyes. She asked questions, simple but thoughtful ones. She reminded Rian of someone he used to know, long ago. At night, they sat near the ship and shared quiet meals. The stars were brighter now, and the silence of the hills felt warmer somehow. Rian started to speak more, answering Mira's questions, laughing softly at Alani's small stories, and even asking Tauren about his people. The Vesari, as they called themselves, were peaceful travelers. They didn't believe in war. They built ships not for battle, but for knowledge and peace. Tauren had been a scholar once. Alani was an artist. Mira wanted to learn engineering. "Maybe she can be your student," Alani said one night, smiling kindly. Rian didn't answer right away. But deep inside, something old and cold began to melt. On the 6th day, the engine finally powered up. It roared with life, smooth and strong, like a heartbeat returning after a long sleep. The lights across the ship turned green. The humming was no longer weak and sad. It was steady, bright, alive. Tauren stood beside Rian and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have saved us," he said. Rian wiped his forehead. "You helped too." And it felt good to fix something real again. Tauren looked at Alani, then at Mira. They stepped forward, quiet and calm. "We would like to offer you something," Tauren said. Rian raised an eyebrow. "I didn't do this for payment." Tauren smiled gently. "Not payment. A choice." He pointed toward the stars. "Come with us. You would be welcome among our people. You could teach, build, and live among those who respect your skills. You don't have to be alone anymore." Rian stood silent. He looked at the ship, then at the dry land behind him, the quiet hills, the broken machines, the silence. Then he looked at Mira, standing beside her mother, hope in her eyes. He looked at Alani, warm and steady, and Talon, proud but humble. The stars above shine like open doors. Rian didn't speak. He only gave a small nod. And just like that, his quiet life on Dorsa 5 had ended. Something new had begun. Rian sat quietly in the corner of the Vesari ship, his eyes fixed on the small window near him. Through the glass, space stretched wide like a sea of stars. Planets, dust clouds, and glowing lights moved slowly in the distance. It was the first time in years that Rian had left the ground. And this time, it wasn't for war or work, it was something new. The ship flew smoothly. Its silver walls were filled with soft lights and gentle sounds. It didn't feel like the human ships Rian remembered, loud, cold, and made only for speed. This ship felt like a home, with warm seats, wide halls, and a quiet hum like music in the background. Talon stood beside the control board, hands moving over the glowing symbols. "We'll reach our colony in 3 days," he said. "You'll like it, the people are kind, and there's plenty of work for a builder like you." "I'm not sure what I'll do there," Rian replied. "But it feels right," Talon nodded with a soft smile. "Sometimes we don't need to know everything. We just need to begin." As the days passed, Rian started learning more about the Vesari way of life. Mira became his shadow, following him through the ship, asking questions about wires, tools, and energy flow. She listened carefully, writing notes on a small glass tablet. Her curiosity reminded Rian why he loved machines in the first place. You learn fast. He told her one afternoon while fixing a loose panel. "I want to build ships someday," Mira said. "Not just fix them, make something new." Rian paused, looked at her, and nodded. "You will." Alani often painted in a small room with smooth walls that changed colors when she touched them. Her paintings didn't use paper or paint, they were made of light. Floating shapes moved slowly, forming trees, stars, and faces. One evening, Rian saw that she had painted him standing beside the starship engine, a soft light glowing behind him. "That's me?" he asked. She smiled. "That's the man who helped us when no one else would. The one who still has light inside, even if he forgot it." Rian looked at the painting again. It didn't show sadness or regret. It showed strength. For the first time in a long time, he felt proud. The next day, a small alarm beeped from the front of the ship. Talon touched the controls. "We're near a trade station. We'll stop to refuel and rest for a few hours. You'll get to see how our people trade." The ship docked smoothly with a round space station that floated near a purple gas giant. The station was bright and busy. Many kinds of beings walked through the open hall, some with wings, others with long arms, and a few that looked like tall trees with glowing eyes. Rian stepped out of the ship slowly, watching everything with quiet awe. Talon led the way to the trade hall. The place was filled with soft music, strange smells, and items from many worlds. There were books that spoke, drinks that floated in the air, and tools made of crystals. Mira ran ahead, excited. Alani walked beside Rian, telling him about each item they passed. Rian was drawn to a small corner where a group of older Vesari were talking about engine design. He listened for a while, then joined in. He spoke of Earth's way of balancing energy and warp drives. The others listened with interest. One even said, "That's a new approach. I'd like to study it further later." Talon gave Rian a long cloth bag. "A gift," he said, "for joining us." Inside was a tool set unlike any Rian had seen before, smooth, silver, and almost weightless. Each tool fit perfectly in his hand. "These were made for builders," Talon said. "And now you are one of us?" On their way back to the ship, Mira asked, "Do you miss Earth?" Rian thought for a moment. "Not really. Earth has too many memories. But I miss parts of it. The sky after rain. The smell of old oil in a workshop. Things like that." "Maybe you'll find new skies now," she said, smiling. That night, While the ship floated in quiet space, Rian couldn't sleep. He walked to the engine room where the heart of the ship hummed gently. He ran his hand over the side of the machine. It was alive in its own way, smooth, quiet, strong. Mira came in, holding her glass tablet. I couldn't sleep either, she said. Too much excitement, she nodded. I was thinking, maybe we could build something together one day. A ship, you and me. Rian looked at her. For so long, he had shut people out. But Mira was different. She reminded him that knowledge should be shared, not hidden. I'd like that, he said. As the ship moved through space, heading toward a new world, Rian sat with the Vesari and listened to their stories. He told some of his own too about Earth, about machines, about second chances. And though the stars outside looked cold and far, inside the ship, things felt warm. For the first time in many years, Rian wasn't running from his past. He was building something new. 3 days later, the ship finally reached its destination. It slowed down near a glowing green planet called Vesarian from space. The world looked peaceful, covered with forests, shining lakes, and small floating cities that sparkled like stars in the daylight. Rian stood near the front window with Mira beside him. Her eyes were wide with joy. There's our home, she whispered. Rian had no words. The beauty of the planet left him quiet. He had traveled through many parts of space before. But this place felt different. It felt alive. The ship moved toward a floating city made of glass and silver. It looked like it was resting on clouds. Smooth towers stretched into the sky, connected by wide bridges where people walked calmly. Flying vehicles moved gently through the air, making no loud sound. The ship landed softly on a round platform. As the doors opened, warm air filled the room, along with the soft scent of flowers and water. Rian stepped out and felt the soft breeze touch his face. It was the kind of welcome he didn't expect but needed. Talon led Rian through the city. Everywhere they went, people greeted them with kind smiles. The Vesari wore light robes in calm colors: blue, green, silver. There was no rush in their steps. No shouting. No fear. Alani walked beside Rian, explaining things as they moved. This is the Sky Bridge, she said, pointing to a long, clear bridge that connected to towers. And over there is the Hall of Learning. That's where builders, engineers, and thinkers work together. Rian looked at the hall. It had wide open windows and floating tools moving gently in the air. He felt a small tug in his chest. It reminded him of the old engineering labs on Earth, except this one was filled with light and peace. Not pressure and deadlines. Soon, they reached a quiet part of the city. It had smaller buildings made from natural stone and metal. Birds flew slowly above, singing soft songs. This house is yours, Tauren said, stopping in front of a round home with a clear roof and a garden filled with silver leaf plants. Mine, Rian asked. We share what we have, Alani said kindly. You saved our family. Now you are one of us. Rian stepped inside. The home was simple and peaceful. There was a round table, 2 chairs, a resting bed, and shelves already filled with tools, books, and small plants. A large window faced the sky. Rian sat on the edge of the bed. For the first time in many years, he didn't feel like a visitor. He felt like he belonged. The next morning, Rian visited the Hall of Learning. Mira insisted on coming along. The inside of the hall was full of life. Machines floated in midair, shaped by thought and light. Builders were testing new engines, quiet machines for growing food, and even a ship powered by sound. One of the elders, a builder named Corin, welcomed Rian warmly. We heard what you did with the Skyburn ship. Tauren told us everything. Rian nodded. It was a good engine, just needed care. We've needed someone like you, Corin said. Would you like to lead a project with us? You'll have freedom to build. No stress, no orders. Rian paused for a moment. Then he nodded slowly. Yes, I'd like that. Mira clapped quietly beside him. Can I help too? Corin smiled. Of course. Learning begins by doing. Over the next weeks, Rian built more than just machines. He taught the younger builders how to fix Earth-style engines, He helped design a new type of fuel system that used the planet's soft wind instead of burning energy. He even created a small water cleaner that worked without power, something that could help other worlds without strong technology. Mira was always nearby, learning fast. She became skilled at wiring and design. She even began drawing her own engine plans. "You'll pass me one day," Rian told her one afternoon. She laughed. "Only if you keep teaching." One evening, the city lights dimmed slightly. It was a signal, a moment of peace. Every home, workshop, and bridge grew quiet. Rian looked out from his window and saw people gathering on the sky bridge. They stood side by side, holding hands or simply closing their eyes. He stepped outside, unsure what was happening. Alani met him on the path. "It's the day of thanks," she explained. "We stop to remember all that we've received: life, safety, each other." Rian joined them. As he stood there, Mira walked up and handed him a small glass circle. Inside was a moving image, a ship's engine glowing with light. "I made it for you," she said softly. "It's the first engine I ever designed. You showed me how." Rian looked at it, then at her, then at the stars above. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. Later that night, he sat alone in his garden. He thought about the man he used to be, the mistakes, the silence, the loneliness. Now, he was part of something greater. He had a home, a purpose, people who trusted him. The stars above shined softly. Rian smiled for the first time in a long, long time. Weeks turned into months, and Rian's life on Visarion became steady, peaceful, and full of purpose. He woke up each morning with a clear mind, walked to the Hall of Learning, and worked with others on new machines, clean energy systems, and flying vehicles. His hands were always busy, but this time they were building a better future, not repairing a broken past. Mira was now more than just a student. She was a partner in his projects. She designed parts he hadn't even thought of, and sometimes corrected his work with a quiet smile. "You're becoming the better builder," Rian would say. She would grin. "You started it." Rian had also grown close to Tauren and Alani. They treated him like family. Alani often invited him for evening meals where they shared food, stories, and quiet laughter. Rian didn't feel like an outsider anymore. The walls around his heart, built over years of sadness, had slowly come down. But one morning, everything changed. It started with a message. Rian was checking the alignment on a floating turbine when a small blue orb flew toward him. It blinked gently, Vesari code for an off-world signal. He took the orb into his hand. A calm voice from the orb said, "Incoming call from Earth Command Archive." Rian froze. He hadn't heard that voice in years. It was the same signal system Earth used for its old space crew records. The orb continued, "Message from Earth Emergency Group. Level green." Rian slowly walked to a quiet corner in the hall. He touched the orb, and a soft light appeared, showing a man in a dark blue uniform. His face was older, tired, but clearly human. "This is Commander Lin of Earth Emergency Group." The man said, "To any former engineers or technical leads receiving this signal, we need help. A major satellite near the edge of Earth's system is failing. It holds data for weather, farming, and health. Without it, many systems will shut down. We are short on skilled engineers. If you receive this and can assist, please return or respond. Coordinates are attached." The message ended. Rian stood still. His heart beat faster than it had in months. He thought he had left Earth behind, but now Earth was calling him again, not to fight, not to blame, but to ask for help. That evening, he sat quietly in his garden. Mira walked in and sat next to him. "I heard," she said gently. Rian nodded. "They need someone who knows old systems. I was one of the builders. That satellite, I worked on its first test model. Will you go back?" she asked. "I don't know," he replied. "Part of me wants to, not because I miss Earth, but because maybe this is a way to fix something I couldn't before." "You've already fixed so much," she said. "Here, with us." He looked at her. Her eyes were calm, full of trust. "I don't want to leave you, or this life, Mira smiled softly. Then maybe you don't have to leave forever. Maybe it's just a visit, just long enough to help. The next day, Rian met with Tauren and Alani. He explained the message. Tauren listened carefully. Then he nodded. It's your choice, Rian, but we will support whatever you decide. You gave us your help when we were lost, Alani said. Now someone else is lost. Maybe it's your turn to help again. Rian looked out at the city. Floating lights moved gently through the sky. It was peaceful here, but far away. Others were struggling. He finally said, I'll go. That week, he and Mira began preparing a small ship for travel. It was a fast model, designed by the Vesari, but fitted with a human-style control board just in case. You need extra power cells, Mira said while checking the fuel line. Earth's orbit is rough these days, and tools that can work with both Vesari and human machines, Rian added. We might have to mix systems together. They packed parts, scanned maps, and ran tests. Rian was proud of how much Mira had learned. She worked with care, skill, and patience just like a true engineer. The night before he was set to leave, Mira gave him a small silver ring. It's made from the old ship you fixed, she said. It's a reminder. You saved us. Now go. Save someone else. The morning of the launch was quiet. The city gathered to send Rian off. There were no loud cheers, only warm smiles and soft wishes. Alani gave him a long hug. Tauren placed a hand on his shoulder. Come back when it's done. I will, Rian said. Mira stood by the ship, holding her glass tablet. Send updates. And try not to crash anything. I'll do my best. He laughed. Then he entered the ship. The doors closed, the engine hummed, and the ship rose into the soft morning sky. Then up into the stars as space opened in front of him. Rian set the course. Earth was far, but the journey didn't scare him anymore. He was not running away this time. He was going back with new hands, a new heart, and a purpose not tied to the past, but to healing a dot behind him. Vesarian shined quietly in the distance ahead. Earth waited not as a memory, but as a mission. Rian took a deep breath. Then he pushed forward into the dark sky, chasing light once more. The journey back to Earth took several days. Rian's small ship moved smoothly through the stars, powered by Vesari energy systems and guided by the Earth coordinates sent in the emergency message. The ship was quiet, but Rian didn't feel lonely. Mira had added a small voice note before he left. It played each morning. You taught me how to fix machines, she said in the recording, but you also taught me how to believe in second chances. Go fix the world that made you. Rian smiled every time he heard it. He spent most of the trip checking the ship's systems, reading old Earth documents sent along with the message, and preparing tools he would need. He reviewed the model of the failing satellite again and again. It was one of the earliest systems Earth had launched after joining the deep space age. Its job was to control climate stations, emergency rescue beacons, and food programs across multiple regions. If it failed completely, millions could lose access to weather control, safe farming zones, and space travel support. This time, Rian said aloud, I won't fail. On the fourth day, Earth finally appeared in the distance around blue and green planets surrounded by thin rings of light and cloud. It looked beautiful, but Rian noticed changes. There were more space stations now, and several large ships floated in orbit, probably keeping watch or helping move goods. Rian sent a landing signal to Earth Control. After a few moments, a voice responded. Unmarked ship, identify and explain your purpose. This is Rian Hale, he said calmly, former engineer, Earth Project Level 3, responding to the emergency message sent by Commander Lin. I have tools, plans, and a working ship. Permission to land. There was a pause, then the voice said, Rian Hale, you're alive. Stand by. Moments later, another voice came on. It was older and familiar. Rian, this is Lin. You actually came. Back by did, Rian said. Let me help. The ship landed at a repair station on Earth's outer orbit. Rian stepped out and looked around. The station was old and worn, with blinking lights and metal floors. Several engineers stood waiting. Most of them were young, and many looked surprised. When they saw Rian, "You're the one from the archive files," one of them whispered. Rian nodded. "I'm here to fix the satellite." They led him through a hallway to a wide command center. Screens showed a large satellite drifting slowly above Earth's orbit. Its solar wings were cracked, and several parts had gone dark. Lin stood beside one of the screens. His hair was gray now, and his face had deep lines, but his eyes were sharp. "You vanished years ago," Lin said. "Everyone thought you were gone forever." "I was," Rian said. "But I'm not now." Lin gave him a small smile. "We tried everything. It keeps shutting down piece by piece. We're running out of time." "Then let's get started," Rian replied. Rian worked non-stop for hours. He studied the satellite's energy flow, scanned its inner wires, and matched it with the original plans. Earth's team watched as he moved with calm skill, asking the right questions and offering quiet instructions. His hands knew what to do. "Even after all those years, your tools, they don't look like ours," one engineer said, watching, as Rian used a small silver device to check a power core. "They're not," Rian said. "They're Vasari made. More gentle, more precise." "You've been with aliens?" another asked. Surprised, Rian only smiled. "I've been with friends." By the next morning, Rian had figured out the problem. The satellite's memory core wasn't failing, it was locked. Years ago, the system had set a safety lock during a power drop. No one remembered the old code. But Rian did. He had designed part of that safety system long ago. He entered a sequence of numbers. The screen blinked. A soft green light appeared. The satellite powered up. On Earth, weather control came back online. Emergency beacons started blinking. Again, farms received fresh data for planting. Thousands of systems across the planet slowly came back to life. In the control room, everyone stood in silence. "You did it," Lin said, amazed. "I just fixed something that should have never been broken this long," Rian replied. Later, Lin walked with Rian along the viewing deck of the station. "You didn't have to come back," Lin said. "I know," Rian said, "but I needed to. I read what happened in the past," Lin continued. "That accident at the colony, it wasn't your fault." "I know that now," Rian replied. "But for a long time, I didn't. I let guilt eat me. I thought running away would make it better. But it didn't fix anything, until I started helping again." "You're welcome here now," Lin said. "You always were." "Thank you," Rian replied. "But I have a new home now." Before leaving, Rian gave Earth's engineers copies of the new tools he had brought. He showed them how to repair more systems using cleaner methods. He even shared some of Mira's designs, though he didn't mention her name. Not yet. When he finally stepped back into the ship, the engineers waved to him. "You saved Earth," one said. Rian shook his head. "We save each other. That's how it works." As the ship rose above Earth's orbit again, Rian sent one last message to Lin. "Earth is working. Take care of it. I'll be watching from the stars." He turned the ship toward Vesarian. The stars welcomed him once more, and this time he was not a man running from the past. He was a builder flying home. Rian's ship flew quietly through the open stretch of space. The dark sky sparkled with distant stars, and in the center of his view, Vesarian slowly grew larger. The peaceful green and blue world had become more than just a planet. It had become home. After fixing Earth's satellite, Rian had stayed just long enough to teach the engineers some of the Vesari methods. But his heart had never truly settled there again. Earth had thanked him, and he was proud of what he had done. But the life he now loved was somewhere else, among the stars, among the people who had accepted him without asking for anything. In return, as his ship drew closer to the city's edge, a soft voice came through the speaker. "Rian, is that you?" Mira's voice was clear, bright, and excited. He smiled as he replied, "Yes, I'm almost there. We've been watching your path since yesterday. The whole city is ready, and Alani made your favorite meal." "Let me guess," Rian said. "Spiced leaf soup. And the soft grain bread too." She laughed. "You've been missed." "I missed all of you more than I expected," he said softly. The ship landed on the skyport. the same platform where he had taken off weeks ago. As the door opened, warm air wrapped around him like a welcome hug. Mira stood just outside the ramp with Talon and Alani beside her. Behind them, dozens of Visari citizens had gathered, smiling gently. Mira was the first to run up and hug him. "You came back," she whispered. "I said I would," Rian replied. Alani took his hands in hers. "You kept your promise," Talon nodded. "And Earth is safe." "Yes," Rian said. "The satellite is fixed. Their systems are running. Again. But more importantly, I made peace with my past." "You brought peace to your heart," Talon added. Rian looked around at the smiling faces, the soft glow of the floating buildings, and the open sky above. "Yes," he said. "This is my place now." That evening, Rian sat at the round table. In his home, the warm meal Alani had prepared sat in front of him, and Mira was already explaining something new in engine design she had sketched while he was away. "It uses light pulses instead of fuel," she said excitedly. "The outer coils collect energy from nearby stars." Rian leaned over her drawing and smiled. "This could work. With a few small changes, it might even be better than the last design." She looked proud. "I waited to show you. I wanted you to be the first to see it." Alani laughed softly. "I think she made 10 designs while you were gone, but this one is her favorite." "I'm glad to see she's still working hard," Rian said. "She'll be leading the next team in the Hall of Learning soon." Mira blushed a little. "Only, if you help, you're already teaching me," Rian said. The next day, Rian returned to the Hall of Learning. The builders there welcomed him warmly. His desk, tools, and projects were untouched. Waiting for him like old friends, he brought with him the Earth repair logs, the new changes made to the satellite, and the ways the Visari technology had helped fix an old human system. "This is proof," he told the others during a shared meeting. "Our knowledge isn't just for us, it can help others. There are many more worlds like Earth trying to hold on, trying to repair what's broken. We can guide them." Corin, the elder builder, listened with deep interest. "You speak like a man who carries to homes." Rian nodded. "I do, but only one feels like where I belong." "Then perhaps it's time," Corin said, "for us to send knowledge beyond our own world again. Not just in ships, but in service, in friendship." A few days later, Mira came to Rian's home with something in her hand. "It's for you," she said, handing him a smooth glass panel. Rian looked at the image glowing on it. It showed him standing in front of the repaired Earth. Satellite, tools in hand, with stars in the background and the Visari crest on his chest. "You drew this?" he asked. Mira nodded. "I made it from Earth's signal data and added some details. I wanted to remember the moment when you helped not just one world, but two." Rian felt something warm in his chest. He placed the image on his wall, beside the drawing Mira had once made of his first engine repair. "These belong together," he said. The Visari Council later invited Rian to speak. They wanted to hear more about Earth, about its struggles and changes. Rian told them the truth of its beauty, its mistakes, and the people trying to do better. He didn't hide the sadness Earth had caused him in the past, but he also shared the hope he saw in the young engineers, in their effort to learn from the past and do better. At the end of his talk, Talon stood her today. "Rian has reminded us that even broken things can be healed. That leaving a place in pain does not mean we stop caring, and that sharing knowledge, even after sorrow, is the true meaning of peace." Rian spent the next few weeks designing something new with Mira, a hybrid ship that could fly between Earth and Visarion, using both human and Visari systems. It would be small, light, and powerful, a symbol of unity, a link between two worlds. As they worked together, Rian felt younger, not in age, but in spirit. The weight he had once carried was gone, replaced by purpose. Mira said one evening, "You fixed a ship, then a satellite, and now maybe you're fixing something even bigger." "What's that?" he asked. She smiled. "The space between worlds." Rian looked out the window. The stars were clear. The sky was wide, and the future was calling. Part 7. Bridges between worlds. Rian stood at the edge of the skyport, looking up at the new ship they had built together. It was small but strong, shaped with smooth curves that caught the soft light of Vessarion's twin suns. The design combined the best of human and Vessari technology, a symbol of trust, friendship, and hope. Mira stood beside him, eyes shining. "It's ready." Talon and Alani came forward, smiling proudly. "This ship will fly between Earth and Vessarion," Talon said. "A bridge for knowledge and help." Rian nodded. "A way to share what we've learned, to remind both worlds that they are not alone." The launch was simple but full of meaning. A crowd of Vessari and Earth visitors gathered to watch as Rian took the controls. Mira sat beside him, ready to learn and assist. Talon and Alani waved from the platform, along with many others who had come to celebrate this new beginning. The engines hummed to life, smooth and steady. Slowly, the ship lifted off, rising into the sky with quiet grace as they flew away. Rian felt a calm joy. He looked at Mira. Ready for the first trip, she smiled wide. "Let's go home." The journey to Earth was peaceful. Rian shared stories of Vessarion with Mira, while she taught him about new human inventions she had found in their research. When they reached Earth's orbit, they were greeted by engineers and friends. The new ship's arrival brought excitement and hope. It was a sign that the two worlds could work together, learn together, and build a better future. Rian and Mira helped repair old stations, train new engineers, and deliver clean energy technology that could protect Earth's environment. Each day, Rian felt the weight of the past lift further. His heart grew lighter knowing he was helping both worlds. One evening, after a long day of work, Rian walked outside Earth's repair station. The blue planet spun quietly below him. He thought about the man he once was, a man who ran away from his past, afraid and alone. Now, he was a builder of bridges. Between worlds, between hearts, between hopes. Back on Vessarion, life moved forward. Mira took on a leadership role among the young engineers. She invented new machines, inspired by her time on Earth. Elani's art filled the halls with light and color, reminding everyone that beauty and science could live together. Talon watched all of this with quiet pride. "You changed more than just a ship or a satellite," he told Rian once. "You changed how we see ourselves." Rian smiled. Maybe we all needed a reminder. The new ship flew often, carrying ideas, people, and friendship. It became a symbol not just of technology, but of something deeper, that even in a vast universe, connection matters most. Rian sometimes thought about Earth's wide blue skies and Vessarion's glowing forests. To very different worlds, but both full of life and dreams. He knew now that no matter where you come from, or what mistakes you carry, the chance to build something better is always there. On a clear night, Rian stood outside his home on Vessarion. The stars shone bright, the sky calm. Mira joined him, holding two cups of warm tea. "To new beginnings," she said, handing him a cup. "To home," Rian replied, smiling. They looked up at the stars together, quiet, hopeful, and ready for whatever came next.